All right, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. This is a little bit different video. I've been talking a lot over the last few videos about kind of a swing transition that I've been going through, and I know I talk about it a lot. So I wanted to kind of show the reason I've been talking about it, what it is. I didn't want y'all to think I'm just out there making excuses as to why my golf game has not been up to the standards that I'd like it to be. So I wanted to put this together because it's something that could honestly, if you're a slicer, like that's the big issue that I've had is with my irons. I play a slight fade. I'd rather play a draw, but sometimes that slight fade will start on the wrong line. It'll have too much in it, and I'll end up losing my line of where I'm wanting to go. So I'm kind of making this for anybody that might slice the ball, anybody that's going through a little problem. I actually had a golf coach. I'm not just making this up. I've worked with a golf coach. Got a couple more lessons with him coming up. But I'm gonna go kind of through what he's told me, and it's something that could help a lot of people. I think, especially I played baseball throughout high school, and I've kind of got a little bit of a baseball motion coming over the top of the ball. So that's kind of what I'm gonna break down and show you what he's kind of told me as to what I need to be working on to fix it. All right, so the first thing that we're gonna look at, I'm gonna go back to an older video just so you can kind of see what it is that I'm talking about here. This is my first video that I posted, and this is where this clip alone is kind of where I discovered like I'm really coming over the top of the ball here. I've got it slowed down. You'll be able to see this. This is where my ball landed. Don't worry, I didn't hit twice, but you'll be able to see with the divot and where I'm lined up as to what I'm talking about here. So I'll go ahead and I'll start it. Like I said, I got it extremely slowed down. I'm gonna go probably to about right here. Okay, so starting off my takeaway, you can see I come really inside with my takeaway here. I'm getting the club behind my hands really quick, even a little bit more here. You can see that I'm getting the club up really steep, really quick. That's one thing that it's not really allowing me to get back into the slot, coming back down to the ball. And here, you see that motion right there. The club was here, and I come over. Instead of dropping the club back down in the zone or in that, the slot is what a lot of people call it. I brought the club back over. You might hear my dog in the background. He's making himself comfortable. But I bring the club over the top, and you can see where this affects me here. And another thing, I've been getting up on my toes. I'll address that too. But you see my line. Like I said, I'm lined a little to the left because I've always played a little bit of a fade, even though I don't want to. You just kind of, if that's what you play, that's what you play. You just go with it. But you can see I'm lined a little bit left of the green is where I'm aiming, right in this area. But you can see here, when I come through, we'll go one more frame. When I come through, the ball is starting where I want it to, and that was the issue. It was starting where I wanted it to. It's starting towards the left side of the green, but you can already see it started here, and it's already kind of leaking to the right. And look at this divot. I'm aimed here. My divot is going off in these trees over here. So when I saw this clip, that's when I kind of told myself that's something I really need to address. I know what I'm doing. It is a hard adjustment when you're coming over the top to drop back down the slot because you want to leave that club face extremely open, and that's been an issue, which is why I had to get a golf coach, is because I could not make myself get back down to the ball and not have my club face wide open. So you see here, divot's going way out here. That's just creating spin going this way on the ball. And you can see the ball starts leaking. It's up here now. Like, it started here, it's up here. it ends up over in this area. Okay, so that's a big issue, is when you're starting the ball where you want it, but then you look down at your divot and it's pointing towards your outside toe. You know, that's when you know something's not quite right. So that was an older video. This is one that this was off the last video that we did, and I can kind of work this frame by frame. I'm still not quite there, which is what you'll hear me talking about in the videos. I'm still kind of struggling with this transition, but you can automatically see my takeaway is I'm staying a lot more away from my body. So that's one thing he stressed to me, was keeping that club, instead of getting real steep, because I was coming up, I wish I could draw a line for you, but I was coming up steep like in here. And instead of doing that, I'm keeping my club head pushed away from my body, which allows me to get a lot better extension up in here. You can see I'm not over my head with the club. I still have a slight lunge towards the ball right here, but my club drops back down in the slot a lot better. It's still not where I want to, trust me. I still have that lunge towards the ball to where I'm kind of coming over the top and lunging a little bit. And that's one thing when I say I'm in a transition, that's what I'm struggling to fix, is just instead of lunging, just let my hands kind of fall towards the ball. And like I said, I'm working with him a couple more times. I'm going to pull up some TrackMan info that we got from the first session. But you can see here, I'm already much better as far as not coming way over the top. It's actually dropping back down towards this plane instead of coming in over this way and going out, which in turn you can see the divot that I make is actually pointing towards the target line. You know, I aimed a little bit left of the pin, trying to play the fade into the pin, because I'm still not hitting a draw. I know that. I'm not trying to force a draw yet. So I'm still playing that fade. But you can see this divot is going towards my target line. You know, if I go straight off, it's going right in here, which is where my target line was. And the follow through, I'm still kind of, you can see my foot still pointing towards the target. I'm still getting up on my toes. You can kind of tell right here. I'm still getting up on my toes a little too much. And that's another thing. That's going to be towards the end of what I'm working on. I really want to get my hands working better first before I focus really on getting up on my toes, because I don't feel like that's as like a dramatic change as the way my club path is. So this ball ends up pin high, like real close to the flag. You know, it ended up being a really good shot. And it's shots like that, it's like, okay, you know, it's kind of, I might have caused the camera to move a little there, but it's shots like that make me think, you know, it's actually working, you know, making some progress. Throughout this whole video, though, you can see me kind of struggling with hitting the green. It's still affecting yardages. You know, I'm gaining some yardage on some if I strike it pure, because if I do strike it pure, it does have a little bit more of a draw to it than a fade. But then, you know, if I come through it the wrong way and my hands are still a little too open, I'm losing some yardage, hitting a little bit more of a fade. It's really confusing right now. But like I said, you can see just from this clip compared to the last one, just how much better my hands are getting down in the zone right here instead of coming way over the top. And then, like I said, I have some TrackMan data that he sent me. So working with him, this is kind of what I got afterwards. And this is just a 7-iron. A lot of these aren't full swings. He had me hitting a lot of chopped, like sawed off swings. And the reason for that is because he really wanted me working on, and this is what I'm getting to with this video, is what I'm trying to change in order to get to where I want to be. One thing, he didn't have me focusing on my slot as much as he did my wrist. He really wanted my wrist to stay out. I don't know if you can kind of see. He wanted my wrist to stay more bowed out around my waist. He wanted me to keep that lead wrist ahead of the club, come around my waist. That way it would shallow out that club path. And you can see when we started, these are my club path numbers right here when we started. And I just want you to know, if you see a -10, sorry for the camera shake again. If you see a -10, -9, -7, that means negative means you're going to the left, positive means you're going to the right. So if it was positive, I'd be out inside out. Negative means I'm outside in. -10 degrees is a pretty far offline from where you want to be. That means I'm coming way in over the top, hitting -11 degrees towards the target. So I'm not hitting towards the target. And this is when we started. You can see how bad these numbers are. And then here is where I started working a couple changes with him. And you can see by the end of it, he had me hitting, a pretty good amount in the -1, -2, -4, -2, -1. This group right here, -1. This group starting like right here is what he wants to see. I still had a couple where I kind of lost it, -6, -5.6. I still had a couple where I lost it, but this is a prime example right here of how I want my swing to look. So this ball with a 7-iron had a total of 199 yards, 200 yards 7-iron, which is kind of where I expect my 7-iron to be. I expect 190 to 200 out of my 7-iron. That's kind of the comfortable distance for me with my 7-iron. And this is where, you see all those stats, 199 total. My attack angle, getting better. My club path is much better right here. And you can kind of see, all right, I don't know if we can really work it frame by frame, but I keep the club away from my body, get to the top. I still come over the top a little bit, but that adjustment is made right here. You can see my wrist already. I'm trying to keep that lead wrist. I might be able to make this a little bigger. I'm trying to keep this lead wrist a little bit more, like I said, bowed out towards the target, and then keep that bow in my wrist around my hips. So you can see that here. I don't flip the club at contact. My wrist is still out, and like I said, this ended up being one of the better shots, and I'll just play at full speed. That ball ended up actually having a little bit of draw on it, and which is what he really wants me getting towards. So, like I said, keeping the club path, and this is for people that are struggling with the same thing. This is some tips that you can kind of take away. Keep the club away from your body when you start. Don't get real steep, because that makes it almost impossible to drop back down into that slot. So try to keep the club away. And then he told me, just instead of focusing on club path, which I still come over the top a little bit, but by this point right here, I'm getting back into that slot. And I keep that lead wrist towards the target, and then my club face comes through. You can see how square. I'm still up on my toes, not quite as bad, but you can see how square towards the target this club face is. Like I said, it ended up being a draw because I ended up having such a good contact. The ball starts here and ends up drawing out towards the target. So one of the better swings that I had, and that's kind of what he told me that's what he wants me getting towards. And I don't know if I have one from another angle. I feel like he had one that was more face on. Okay, this will work. This one, let me check the stats on this one before we look at it. Club path, -1.5. So this was another very good club path for me. -1.5 is something I can work with that. That ball's not going to slice on me. That's going to actually might be a little draw if I play it right. So what I'm focusing on here, once again, and he said I do a lot of things good coming through my swing as far as my lower body goes, besides getting on my toes. I generate a lot of power. He likes that. There's a lot of things that he complimented me on, but this is the one thing that we're working towards. So here, I see I get my lower body kind of out of the way, but this lead wrist is what we're focusing on. I keep it you're not going to stay bowed the whole way. It's not going to happen unless you take a very sawed off swing. But it's that, and if you hear, like I said, if you hear a puppy barking, I'm sorry. But it's that feeling of having it out in front of you the whole time. That way you're not flipping your wrist when you hit the ball. And so that's what I did a really good job here at contact. It's still not flipped. The club is still in control, and then I keep it, and then the flip finally comes through right in here. That's where that wrist finally breaks right in here, instead of where I was scooping the ball here. See, that's very straight lead arm. I could still, and this is another thing you told me, I could still have my hands a little bit farther out here, ahead of the club face. But that's something we're working on. It's step by step. I'm gonna see if I can find one of the bad ones right here. Swing direction, club path. This one's awful. This is just some straight up swings that he had me taking. So this one is one with a -11, and I'm gonna see if I can slow it down enough for you to kind of see. I come back steep and then way over the top. Never gets back near the zone at all, and then you see that club face wide open coming this way at contact. That ball ends up starting there and then slicing back. It's hard to see it there, but it starts coming back to the right. And it's because that, for one, the club path was bad, but two, I'm going to see if I can find one more video, and this will be probably the last video I show you. I don't know if he has any head on. Okay, this is before we started making adjustments head on. So my wrist is probably pretty flipped right here. So instead of, see, yeah, okay, this is actually a really good example. So in my last one where I showed you my arm was straight at the front of my body to where my wrist was not broken down, you can see here, by the time I'm at club at impact, a little past impact, that club is already way ahead of my body. Wrist is already broken. You see the curve in the wrist right there. I'm already flipping the club there. You can see already a little flip in the club at contact. And just to show you one more time how it's supposed to look, I think it was this one. This is after making some adjustments with him. At contact, it's actually a really good example. At contact, I'm still, lead arm is still, everything is straight. The club is not out in front of my hands. So at contact, everything's still together, and then the wrist doesn't break down until right in there. So that's the biggest thing that he's focusing right now. It's just, for one, and this is what you can kind of take away from this, is keep the club away from your body as you start your takeaway. You want it to be, you don't want to get too steep. It makes it impossible to come back down inside. Keep it away, and when you come down, even if you're still coming over the top a little bit, keep that lead wrist towards your target, and take a couple sawed-off swings. This is a drill he had me do. Take a couple sawed-off swings to where you keep that lead wrist bowed even after your contact around your body, and that kind of puts that feeling in your head of keeping the club behind your hands and not letting your wrist flip at contact. That was one of the biggest things that he coached me on. So like I said, a little bit different video. I just wanted to describe kind of what's going on with my swing. That way it didn't sound like I was making excuses. So we're playing a course Saturday. We should have a video up hopefully Sunday or Monday. We're doing, me and Austin again, doing a 1v1. Actually, we're playing together, and we're going to see how low we can shoot at one of the courses out here through 9 holes. So should be not quite as long of a video. Hopefully about 17 to 20 minute video. Should be a good one for you. And then, yeah, like I said, this is kind of what I'm going through. I'm looking at these stats a lot, trying to see, what's causing the balls to go out here versus why am I pulling these balls, and just different things like that. I'm breaking all of it down every day I'm trying to figure it out. And like I said, bear with me on these next few videos. It's still a work in progress, but after I work with him a couple more times, I should have it under control, and y'all should start seeing some much better golf. Actually start shooting around par very soon, hopefully. So, like I said, I appreciate you tuning in. Different video, but we'll have another golf video up hopefully Sunday or Monday for you guys. If you like these kind of videos, be sure to let me know. Leave a comment, like the video, something. Just let me know that if you want me to keep posting stuff like this as I go, just along this swing change. If you'd like to see some more of these progression videos as to how I'm coming along with everything and kind of what I'm learning on the way that might help you out, just let me know in the comments. Like I said, we're trying to grow this channel, give y'all some content that y'all enjoy watching. So leave a like, subscribe, and like I said, let me know in the comments what you want to see more of.